What is going on, guys? Welcome to another pallet project video. In this side series to my usual gardening videos, I'm going to be showing you how to make things from pallets or reclaimed wood for almost no money at all. 9 times out of 10 the projects come out completely free, and you can make everything from, you know, a bench to a bird box, you name it, you can make it with pallets. Enjoy the video, guys, and I will catch up with you at the end. Thank you. So guys, you're probably wondering what materials you're going to need and how much this is going to cost you. Well, I can tell you it's going to cost you nothing apart from a few screws or possibly nails, depending on what you decide to use. This is a slat from a standard pallet, and this is a slat off of a not so standard pallet. Now I'm choosing to use the thick, heavy duty 2-inch pallet wood because I'm going to build this planter to, well, I aim to put something like an apple tree or a pear tree in there and just let it grow on. And this is going to be in remembrance of my Labrador that we lost, sadly, in the middle of last year. So I want this thing to last quite a long time, hence why I'm going for the thickest wood I've got. Now, because this is pallet wood, they're never exactly the same size. I've measured one, it was 1 meter 1 inch, and the other one was 1 meter 3.5 inches. So, you know, you've got to just lay it out, guys, and see what you've got to work with, and then if you want to, you can cut them all to the same size to make it a little bit easier to work with, or you can do it the way I do it, and it's to just cut each individual piece and then butt up your next piece against it, score your line, and then you know where to cut the next piece. So what we're basically looking to do is to half 8 of these slats, and that would give us 4 walls, and then we'll use the remaining 2 out of the 10 to construct the floor. And we'll obviously use a different style of pallet wood, a different thickness to actually screw this thing together if we need to, but I'm hoping we don't, because that way we cut down on wood and we can save it for another project. Let's get up close and personal with some pallet wood down on the wood chip ground, and I'll show you what we're going to do. So we're just going to start by measuring out our wood. We're going to find the center, and that's going to be the line that we cut. So we found our center. We're just going to cut this now, and then we're going to continue to cut all of them in the same way. You can of course use any saw that you like. I have got the circular saw with me that I always use, my very trusty circular saw with a very blunt blade. You can always resort to old school methods and just cut the timbers by hand. Both methods work an absolute treat. So I decided on 12 individual pieces because that way it would give me 3 slats on each of the 4 walls, which will make the bed, I think, big enough to support the life of a young tree. To start assembling this thing, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the corners, and we're basically just going to get 2 individual pieces and just join them together. It doesn't matter if they go like that or like that, it will make no difference towards the end of the bed. And we're going to do this with all 4 corners. And because my wood is quite thick, I'm using 45mm screws. Make sure you do this part on an area where it's safe to do so, like a workbench. Make sure it's flush on one end. It doesn't matter if the bottom is out that way, you'll still have a nice finish on the top. And we want to do that on all 4 corners. I'm aiming for 3 screws on each corner. If it needs more strength, we can always add more. Once you've got all your corners, it's quite important to make sure that now they line up. So as you can see, this piece of wood is sitting on top of this piece of wood. So what that means is we need to replicate that on both sides so that it's square. So now we're just going to lay these down onto a flat surface. I'm using a pallet. We're going to insert the middle piece, and we're just going to make sure this is all lined up. And then we're going to take another piece of pallet wood. This is from a thinner pallet, and we're going to line that up right against it, and we're going to come inside of this piece of wood here, and then again on the other side, and we're just going to score so that this piece of wood, once cut, will sit inside and we'll be able to screw this down to hold that wall together. We're going to need 8 pieces in total. And because the screws I'm using are slightly too long and I don't have any other screws, we're just going to go in at a slight angle so that they don't pop through the other side of the wood. And we'll alternate the angles to give this thing more strength. Once you've got your 2 side pieces done, you can insert the center piece and join it all up together. Guys, this couldn't be easier. And then all we're going to do is batten it down the same way we battened the 2 side panels down. And then we just want to flip it over and repeat that process on the other side. So at the moment, we've got our box shape. So now what we're going to need is a floor so that when we do add compost into this, it doesn't all fall out the bottom. We're just going to roughly measure the gap between each support post that's currently holding in the center piece of each of the 4 sides. Then once we cut that, it should just drop all the way to the bottom slats, and that will be what holds our composting plant up off of the floor. And I think we're going to leave these gaps to act as drainage holes. Just to really set this planter off, I've got a piece of what I believe to be skirting board that I grabbed out of a skip when they were refurbishing a house in my new area. So obviously you can of course use pallet wood to go around the top, but I wanted something that was a little bit newer and something that would withstand the rain, because this is obviously going to hold the most amount of surface water, whereas the rain can run off the rest of it. But like I say, you can of course use pallet wood, but I'm going to opt to use this reclaimed, looks brand new, but it was in a skip, so that makes this project still free. There's a lot of ways to cut angles in wood, and I'm going to try and show you my method, which I've found to be the easiest way to cut an angle in wood. So what we're going to do is, rather than line this up flush against it, you're still going to see the gap. So we're going to come out about 1 centimetre. This is about 4 inches. It's about 2.5 times the width of the actual slats on the planter. It will just tidy it all up and make it look really neat and tidy. And then all we're going to do in this corner here is what I like to do, is just roughly find where the corner is. And someone told me recently something that I'd forgotten all about. A subscriber mentioned in the comments recently that the edge of your saw is actually a straight edge, so you can of course use it to find a straight line. So I'll roughly line that up, and it doesn't have to be precise, because the bit that falls off of here will be our template for the bit that goes along here. If you've got a pencil to make the line, use that. It'll be a lot easier than using the screw. And then all that's left to do is cut along that line and then use the end piece as a template, and then work our way around the whole perimeter of the top edge of the bed. So what we want to do is line that up on the edge here, and that's where we're going to cut. It's a good tip as well whenever you're starting to saw any piece of wood with a handsaw, is to, number one, use the whole saw. Instead of sawing like this, use the whole saw from top to bottom. and you'll find it's a lot less work. And the other tip is to start at the very top near the handle and to just drag it back a few times, keeping it as straight as possible, and that way when you actually start sawing, you know you're not off at any weird angles. I'm pretty happy with that. That's not bad at all. Obviously you can take precise measurements if you choose to, but half the fun for me is working it out and learning as you go. Another way to do it, entirely different, is to, once you've got your first piece, you can just cut these at any angle you like, and then once you've placed that down, you can get your second piece of wood and you can just put it straight underneath and then just line it up so that all your proportions are right, that 1 centimetre going all the way around, and then you just follow that line. And here it is. Isn't she beautiful? That is our heavy duty pallet planter made in under 30 minutes from recycled pallet wood. Now, wasn't that easy? See, I told you, this is going to be a really easy series to follow. As with all of my other pallet project videos, if you decide to build something like this based on this video and you take a photograph, please share it to Digging for Dinner on Facebook or at Digging for Dinner on Instagram, and I'll be sure to share it on my social media platforms. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I do hope you guys attempt some pallet projects throughout 2020, and I do hope that I'm encouraging you to get busy with your hands. This is going to look absolutely beautiful with a dwarf tree in the center of it as a reminder of our chocolate Labrador, Otis. Love you, boy.